Moving on to the next career, let's look at design. Now, before I explain design, I want to ask you as career guides, in your classrooms, have you noticed few students who are always busy in making doodles, sketches, like being creative? They are the students who like to help out in creating those awesome chart papers in your classroom, to the kind of stage design that you would have when you have a school event, to the kinds of students who like to design the kind of clothing that one would wear during a skit or an annual function. So all of these are aspects of design. Now, design is one space where science and creativity meet. It's one place where you could utilize scientific principles in being able to solve problems of convenience. Now, the different types of design that are available range from product design to footwear to gems and jewelry to communication design to interior design and fashion and textiles. So, design is one space that one would not only find themselves in a professional degree course, one could also go through vocational degree programs, through jewelry design, through footwear design as well. So, it's one of those few spaces where the really creative of your students would be able to do really well. So, looking at the rewards and challenges in this space, the rewards are you get to be in a very, very creative space where you get to design stuff that could be seen by millions and millions of people. For example, even if you look at the new rupee logo, the rupee logo was made by a designer where it's something that's being used daily by millions and millions of Indians. So you would see that your design is being utilized by so many different people. Your design could help make people's lives easier as well. Think about the kind of designs that go behind making prosthetic limbs. Think about the designs that go behind making better shoes or footwear, or gems and jewelry, or product designs, or automobile designs as well. Most of the areas of designs are places where your creativity could be seen by people all over the world. Some of the challenges are there where to be able to establish yourself as a designer, it does take a considerable amount of time. You might have to work as an apprentice under certain senior designers. To be able to find your calling in design and the type of design you want to go into, usually you would have to take a couple of years to really evaluate yourself. This is where the UNICEF self-awareness aspect of the life skills framework come into play. That students need to understand what they're really good at, what are the areas that they would have to work on in case they have to pursue a certain career. Some of the other challenges in this space would be, often students think that a good drawing skill or a good sketching skill is absolutely necessary. While that may be, one has to be prepared to improve themselves over time. You might not need to be the best artist out there before you apply for a career in design. But you need to be open to learning those skills so that you can become a better artist. And it's one small aspect of design. Today, in design colleges, there are various aspects that are considered. While I have seen students who are singers, who write lyrics, who work into communication design, I've seen students who are great artists who go into product design. I've seen students who are really good at lighting, who go into aspects of photography as well. I've seen students who like calligraphy, who go into type and font making. There are students who enjoy sculptures and areas like cooking food. Even that in a way could go into designs as well. So design is one such space where there is no such foundation, where no matter where you're coming from, as long as you're someone who enjoys creativity, you could see yourself working in this space. Now let's look at the career portal to understand this a little better.
Looking at careers in design, we shall again type the career in the search bar, and you would find all the specialization areas in design itself. Starting from fashion, jewelry, footwear, textile, craft, industrial and product, ceramics and glass, vehicle and transportation, and design engineering. We won't cover design engineering under this cluster, but we will talk about careers in design, given that design engineering requires one to have a background in mathematics and science. So we'll start with one of the most common areas in design, industrial or product designer. So while industry and product design has a vast area that it serves, you would find students in industrial and product design designing everything starting from fans to furniture to everyday household elements as well. It could be pens, it could be a part of a vehicle or an automobile. So there is a wide variety of things that industrial or product designers can do. It is open for students from all streams. There are UG degrees in industrial and product design. There are diploma programs as well that one could pursue after the UG degree. One could also look at an undergraduate degree in engineering or architecture and pursue a PG or a postgraduate program in industrial design. And one could pursue dual degrees or PhDs as well. Now, looking at the monthly earnings, it depends on the type of work that one is involved in and types of organizations that one works with. However, we have seen that a fresher with almost no experience would typically start with about 20 to 25,000 rupees per month. This, of course, needs to be factored in for inflation and will increase on year by year. We have seen that grow with a level of experience of 15 years and above to about 1 to 3 lakhs per month as well. But again, that depends on the type of organization that one works with. The future prospects with long-term and very long-term are really high, given that we have a lot of scope of applications in design. When I say scope of application in design, I mean almost any product that one uses will be undergoing strict quality checks that are usually done by designers, because ultimately the function of design is in the mix of art and science, where a designer is supposed to figure out how is the human being using that design. So you would find the role models in this career as well. The kind of job opportunities here, the work environment. Now one could work full-time in an organization as a designer, or one could work in freelance as well, when one can take in multiple projects depending on their comfort and availability. There are, of course, designers who are working in studios and factories and industries, selling and marketing firms, and they are expected to work more on a full-time level. On a self-employed system, you will have flexible working hours, and this is something that we can tell students as well. For students who want to work without routine, freelance options are plenty in this space. There is a pretty descriptive job profile as well that includes the key roles and responsibilities. It talks about how one should be able to communicate with the clients to be able to get ideas very clearly out and apply that into the design itself. Looking at how costs could be minimized in the manufacturing and production process, and what type of tools one could look at, whether you're looking at a computer-aided design system, 2D or 3D computer design software. They're usually called CAD and CAID, which is computer-aided industrial design or computer-aided design itself. The competencies required would be ranging from artistic, realistic, and enterprising. So students who are creative, who like working with their hands, and are good persuaders could work very well in a design space. Abilities would include abstract reasoning, deductive reasoning, flexibility of closure, which means to be able to detect a pattern that is hidden among other distracting materials. So pattern recognition tends to be one of the most important ability in a designer. Fluency of ideas, hand-eye coordination, interpersonal skills, mechanical reasoning, because there will be certain times where you have to be comfortable with how a product moves, how it functions, how one aspect of a product is related to another, and these sometimes could require a good sound mechanical knowledge. While physics in certain places might not be an eligibility criteria as a subject, but comfort with certain physical areas that one studies in up till class 10 could be quite useful in this space. So the knowledge levels that one needs to bring in, apart from creative design, physical science, technical and engineering design are two other areas that one could look at. The skills are listed here. These seem fairly obvious. I would encourage students to read this thoroughly before they decide on design as a career. The work activities are broken down. This gives a little more insight on what day-to-day activities that a designer could be involved in. Apart from this, students are encouraged to talk to designers, to visit them at their workplaces, to understand what their day looks like. Now, moving on to the next option in design itself, you would notice that there are a lot of career options or specializations that is there on the portal. Let's look at one option, which is interior design. Now, of course, most design courses would have a couple of common entrance exams. Now, before I go into explaining the areas in interior design, let me just quickly take you through where to find the information on the entrance exams itself. So when you scroll down, right above job opportunities and above the gifted, for the gifted ones, you should find this option, which is colleges, entrance exams, and scholarships. If you click on entrance exams, you should find the entrance exams for design mentioned here very clearly. Some of the courses might be overlapping between design and liberal arts and engineering because these courses kind of cover some elements of design as well. Some of them are BTech courses as well because there are some elements of design in those courses too. So quickly going back, the interior designer typically is someone who's responsible for designing homes, what type of decorative elements that one could keep in the room, how a room should be structured out, how to make it visually appealing. These are few of the responsibilities of the interior designer. Now, an interior designer is slightly different from an architect in the sense that an interior designer works with more of the soft elements, elements that could be added or removed after the construction of the building has already been made. So, like you would see here, one could study any subject in 11th and 12th and pursue a bachelor's in design or a BVOC degree. One could study a bachelor's degree in any discipline and also then pursue a diploma or a certificate program in design itself. And one could do it even after the master's degree in any discipline. So there is a lot of flexibility in how one could approach a career in design. The types of job opportunities available for interior designers would range from junior interior designer to interns to assistant designers to design apprentice to associate interior decoration architects to 3D interior design artists who work with CAD or computer aided design systems. You would find options on job profiles as well for interior designers and the kind of roles and responsibilities. This should help students understand how much they need to interact with clients, so which is why communication skills and other soft skills could be important. Moving on to the kind of competencies required, some of these competencies are similar to all areas of design, so I shall not be jumping into this in detail. The work activities required also in some cases are similar.
Now let's look at one of the other careers which probably hires one of the largest number of individuals across India. So if some of your students are interested in helping the nation, the Indian Armed Forces provides the largest number of opportunities for such an individual. Now they are subdivided into three different areas: the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, and the Indian Navy. The Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy have slightly different eligibility criteria for more of the technical roles. Now when you're looking at the technical roles, you would require subject combinations like the sciences to be there before a student wants to apply there. Now after 12th, the Indian Army is open for students. A lot of the options that are open are specifically for boys. The women can join the armed forces after the graduation, and the two ways majorly that boys can apply to the army is through the NDA or through the technical entry scheme. For the technical entry scheme, a student who has studied physics, chemistry and mathematics can apply for it, where they could study the engineering course entirely in the army, or one could be from any stream and still apply to the NDA. One will have to prepare for elements like English, general knowledge, logical reasoning, mathematics to be able to crack the exam better. Now, let's look at the career portal to understand this in a little more depth.
Typically, the Indian Army officer and the Indian Army soldier / Havildar or junior commissioned officer or JCO as I would see it, the pathways are slightly different. The educational qualification required for the Indian Army officer is higher. Thereby, the scope of growth also is higher. So, we'll first focus on Indian Army officer. Now, a lot of students have an interest to join the forces in the Indian Army. One of the things to remember is that the Indian Army is open to students from any scheme of studies in 11th and 12th, post which they will have to take an NDA entrance examination and the SSB interviews. The SSB is the Service Selection Board. Once they clear the 5-day interview process, then they can study at the National Defence Academy, and post-commission training and permanent commission as a lieutenant is what they start with. Now, there are many pathways to be able to do this. One could also pursue the Indian Army through the technical entry scheme, where students of physics, chemistry, and mathematics can pursue a course in engineering. And typically, the 3-year technical training plus 1-year post-commission training could be in areas like CME, MCTE, the MCEME, which is the Military College of Electronics and Mechanical Engineering, and start off at the permanent commission as a lieutenant. So while one is a technical role where physics, chemistry, math is required, there's another option without any specific stream of subjects that are mentioned. One could also pursue the armed forces after a bachelor's degree in any subject through the Combined Defense Services Examination or the CDSC, post which the SSB is common for all. One could also pursue with a bachelor's degree in law and join JAG or Judge Advocate General, which is the parallel legal system for the armed forces. A student could also pursue the army through a 2-year NCC training program, post which an SSB interview is taken, and then pre-commission training at OTA Chennai or Officers Training Academy. A student could pursue the Indian Army after a bachelor's degree course in engineering and then go into the UES or the TGC entry scheme. And there are many other options where one could pursue a bachelor's, then master's, and then go in for the service selection board. So one could see that joining the Indian Army has many pathways. One could become a doctor or a dentist as well and then pursue the armed forces too. Now, this is one of those areas where a lot of students want to pursue it because the scope of opportunity is available, the stability in the job, and of course, the future prospects. The educational requirements are mentioned here. Students who are in class 12 can take in the NDA exam and pursue the armed forces. Students from PCM category can pursue it through the technical entry scheme like I mentioned earlier. And the list of job opportunities that are available are all mentioned here in detail. Students are also recommended to go to the joinindianarmy.nic website to be able to find more information on the eligibility criteria. The competencies required here are largely enterprising, where one needs to be a good persuader, one needs to be able to work with their hands or being realistic, one needs to be investigative, abstract reasoning, articulation, good communication skills, being able to be fit and be intelligent about how one's arms and legs and bodies function. And apart from that, interpersonal skills and ability to follow orders tend to be some of the most important skill sets to have to be able to pursue a successful career in this space. Now, the work activities are also defined here. We would suggest students look at these work activities in detail. Now, apart from the Indian Army, for the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy, students from science can pursue technical roles, and there are few non-technical roles also available.